అమ్మ ఇప్పుడు దేవుడి సామాన్లు ఎట్లా ఉంటుంది పొగడికి బాగుంది శనివారం దాకా పెట్టేస్తావా నా పేరెంట్ వచ్చేస్తుంది నాకేది అర్థం అవ్వట్లేదు ఏదో చేయాలి కాబట్టి ఓన్లీ హెల్ప్ చేసి తీసుకొని ఎవరు ఉండరు కదా ఎవరు తీయలేదు కదా డబ్బులు నేను తీసుకో అదే అడుగుదామని లింకులు లేవు ఏ తెమ్మండి సామాన్లు ఏ తేక అంటారు కొట్లు జనం ఎక్కువ అంటారు
So good morning, all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
So it's been a long time meeting here, I think. So a lot has been covered to the other section, but so there is a lot of gap between the sections, I think. Because once I cover you on Monday and Tuesday, I never meet you again for the next week. They would have scattered the whole thing around that. Everything on one day means like this only will happen. Okay. can you just remind me where we are exactly, at what point? Because for the other section, I have even covered the inheritance also. Can you just quickly remind me, because I need to start it, because for you, this is the only subject that I am teaching that you know what, where and what we have been. For me, 2 sections, so I generally forget it. Please quickly remind me.
Sir,
Did I start?
basics operations of arrays, sir.
Okay, so arrays, you leave it. Have we started object-oriented programming?
No, sir.
Not yet. Okay.
No.
OOPS is not yet started.
So we are lagging a lot behind. When is your unit exam?
Sir, on 12th, sir.
Wednesday.
The first exam is days.
So I think I need to take some videos on my own and I need to share it with you. That's all, directly, without taking the classes. Because again, after today and tomorrow, I think nothing will be left over. So today, the whole 4 classes we will spend on discussing about object-oriented programming only. And tomorrow also, I
Sir?
think tomorrow there is a class, right?
Tomorrow we have, but instead of taking videos, if there is any leisure hour, and even if our leisure hour matches, why? Because tomorrow we have lot of leisure hours, sir.
You have a lot of
Leisure hours, 3 hours leisure hours we have. If we are free in that while, we can conduct at that medium, sir.
but yeah, that also we can take, I think. Yeah, I will try to take it out. Whenever you are free, you just remind me. I'll just create a link and we will take a class for that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's try to go down through this. Yeah, I have already uploaded the class which I need to tell you, like Introduction to Object-Oriented Programming, Inheritance, Polymorphism, and Encapsulation. So these are the things I have already uploaded. Yeah, Monisha, I hear that. So if I don't have the class for the other section, I have more classes for the other section, as if I'm teaching only to that section. I don't know why I'm missing this section a lot. That was already covered a lot, because I even started to them.
Sir, is there any chance that we can change our timetable? Like, we can divide our classes into different days in a week. Because single day, 4 classes, it's becoming a little hectic for us. And many of the students have said me.
Yeah, that's what we can do. The timetable setter has to be informed that. So you need to talk to your coordinator. We already discussed about it, but they never listen to us, right?
So once can I inform assistant principal sir regarding this, and if there is any chance of changing, we can make it.
Yes, definitely. I will agree for that, because I too having a lot of hectic here. Listening to me is hectic to you. Then telling to you is a lot of hectic to me, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
And imparting a lot of knowledge into your brain at the same time regarding the same subject, more than 2 hours is very difficult within one day. I know that. Of course, you can at least take 3 hours, but you cannot take 4 hours at a time. And continuous hours. That too, we have another disadvantage is that if we are covering 4 things, we have only 1 class remaining in a week, and we never see each other until next Monday. So in this, if next Monday is a holiday or some other public thing, a public holiday or something, then everything is missing within 1 week. The whole thing is out. I think last time it is very good actually. We used to cover a lot while we have divided every class for each and every section. That was really nice. The timetable is very good. Okay, let's start it without waste of time. I have already uploaded some PPTs which are required for these classes. And I think if I cover more than this, I will also upload them today. Let me screen share it. Just a second. Stuck. Just a second, my PPT got stuck. I'm just trying to open it now. So there is some problem within this PPT. I could not open the slideshow, but anyway, I'm just running it like this in a raw time. Okay. So I didn't started this slides, right? Can anybody give me a quick reply?
No, sir.
Okay, if possible, if I'm too fast today, I need to even give you some videos about what I have discussed with the previous section so that you will have a clear understanding about everything. That will be very nice for you. If you can see those videos and practice what are the examples I have told to you. If I could not cover everything now, I will just ask them to share the videos with you also or to me so that I can share with you. I had it, but I don't know when I have took this class, and I'll just share those videos with you. But if they're not working, if somebody has downloaded and kept it in their G drive or something, then they might share it with you. So let us go with object-oriented programming first. So object-oriented paradigm is introduced in basically 1980s a lot to the industry because advent of C++ has come there. You know, until the advent of C++, there is an idea about object-oriented programming that something has to be done that matches with the real world, programming. So remember, our real world entirely consists of object orientation only. So we got our Darwin's theorem right when we have discussed initially about classes or something when informally. So based on the objects that he see, that he has seen the different types of people, he has seen different types of birds, animals, and based on that he decided that this has to be classified. So what do you mean by classification? Classification itself says that it is class, right? So class is something like you're trying to make a particular object into a category. So telling that these all belong to this category. How you decide a category? The category is basically decided based on the functions and the data they share together. So why we are all called humans? Because we all talk, we all listen, we all understand, we have a cognitive mind, we have consciousness, we have something like common sense, we run, we walk. Okay, running and walking can also be done by a lion, tiger, or dog or a monkey. But addition to this, we have some functions which are common to each other. And these are not common with the other creatures. So it is the reason why we have been classified into humans in a class called mammal. So I will just show you a quick recap of what you have learned in your childhood. You see, so I can say something like we are all part of something called vertebrata. And in vertebrata, we have something like amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals, bony fish. You can see my mouse here, a pointer, bony fish, everything. So if possible, I'll try to again find out why it is not working. Let me go for slideshow. Okay, fine. Yeah. There is a laser pointer that will be fine. Yeah. Yeah, you can see here, follow my laser pointer. You can see that amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. But the animal kingdom has been divided into a lot more classes, right? In these classes, where we are exactly in mammals. In mammals, there are different types of animals that you have, including the whales, the blue whales, and the human is not shown, but human should also be there, right? And in human, again, you will have man and woman or male or female. For every animal, you have male or female, right? So those are the last classes that you can derive from. And can anybody tell me what could be the super class that from which we have derived? Anybody can guess what could be the super class? Why I'm telling super class? Think and tell me the answer.
Animal kingdom is the major
No,
class.
animal kingdom, we have already, the animal kingdom is not a class, but we have divided them into different classes. Okay, somebody said chordata. Yeah, that's correct. Once this, it's not working. Okay, so chordata is actually the class which is super class for all. I will tell you why I'm calling this as super class and all. So you have chordata, vertebrata. Vertebrata is the next class that you have. It's a hierarchy, right? So it's coming from this to this. It's a hierarchy, and from vertebrata, it has been divided into many parts. And in this, we have our ancestor called mammal. Okay, we all give milk and directly give birth. But if you consider amphibians, reptiles, birds, fish, and remaining things, they just lay eggs. We are the only thing which actually give birth directly to the baby. So that is why we are called mammals. Because we feed them using milk. And you see why we are called vertebrata, but most probably we are having a vertebrae. Most probably you see a frog will also look like us, right? If we can sit like a frog, we look like a frog itself, because we all have some vertebrae. Maybe that is the reason why they might have divided us as vertebrata. So in this, it is important that a hierarchical concept of inheritance is there in classes. You can see in our natural world also we have inheritance, and using what the basic thing that we have a data structure called class, and the classes are having hierarchical representation, and hence they are called inheritance. And we will also look into different things that really work for our programming. So object-oriented programming is a concept that has been, at large from since the invention of the programming itself. But it laid like a philosophy, not really implemented. The first real implementation and the famous implementation is again C++, that is object-oriented programming that we had. So if we think about C++, it was a major implementation, but that was extended from C, right? As I have told you. So, but I cannot say that C++ is really an object-oriented programming. The reason is C++ doesn't satisfy everything. You might ask me, sir, C++ is an object-oriented programming. How can you say that it is not complete object-oriented programming? Remember, object-oriented programming has few principles, not only inheritance, encapsulation, polymorphism, something, but still there are a lot of principles that needs to be satisfied. It's a philosophy. Like I have taught you, right? A lot of times I used to tell you there are two types of philosophy in ancient Hindu literatures, like Advaita Vedanta or Dvaita Vedanta something. They say that if somebody is following some principle, he might be belonging to some Vedanta, okay, some Vedanta school or something. So remember, if you are not following the whole principles of that, you are not never considered as a part of the school or principle. There are in Buddhism also, you have Mahayana or Dhyan Buddhism or something, right? So if you are satisfying the whole thing, then only we can say that you are entirely following that. But otherwise, you are just initiating some object-oriented programming concept. So when considering Java also, we cannot say it is purely because most probably it has satisfied most of the things of the principles of object-oriented programming, but not still all. I will also show you the table later on, maybe in the next few classes. I will show you why I am saying it is not satisfying the whole object-oriented principles. Maybe in the next class I can show you. But in Python, they have said that most of the things have been implemented in object-oriented programming. So why we say object-oriented, object-oriented? Can anybody tell me what exactly is an object here? What is an object here? Can anybody tell me?
Sir, is
In
it
your
the object class?
Yeah. Tell me. I did not understand. Can you
Sir,
repeat?
is class itself is the object, sir?
Can you say that you are human directly?
Variables in class are called objects.
Variables in class are called objects, you are saying. So I will say that your age is an object, but you are not object. Is it true?
Sir, objects are basically some variables of class data type which are used to access the class attributes and functions.
Class attributes are themselves the variables, of course. Okay, I can say something like if you are taking the class called rectangle, I will say that the attributes of a rectangle are length and breadth, right? Something that defines the properties. The properties are nothing but the attributes. The functionalities are something like, a rectangle can calculate the area of rectangle itself. Right? A rectangle can calculate, length and breadth. So how you define the perimeters? Every lot of things are there, right? If you go to a circle, you have the diameter, you have radius, which defines a circle's property, and you can calculate the area of circle based on that. You can based on the given radius, you can calculate the diameter. So something you can do. So we use this data to calculate something to perform some functionality. Then in my view, what exactly is an object?
Sir, object itself is the data.
No, data is part of your class. Or I can
The entities.
Yes, objects are called entities. Entities in the sense, let me take into consideration. I am an entity. I am an object of a class called human. So I cannot say my age is an object here. Of course, in the programming perspective, age is also considered as a mini object in that, because age is something represented as integer, right? So belonging to the integer class. So your age data is an object belonging to a class called integer, but it's not my view exactly. So if you define a class called human, if you have human something H, so this human is divided into male and female. Okay. So they have their own properties. How we can say that, whether it is a girl or boy, we are all divided into humans. But still we have our own divisions, right? We are separated as two separate categories based on our functionalities and based on our properties, we are divided. So if I am Kranti, so Kranti is actually a name that is referring to me, a collection of organs, an object that is existence in this world. So I can say something as an object if it really occupies some space in this real world. The same thing happens here. A collection of data and the behavior, that means the methods or the functionalities, are kept together and they occupy some space that is called an object. But now we need to define what is the difference between class and object. Now let us say I take this is as superclass and the male and female as classes. But Kranti is an object. Kranti is a object. So see why I'm telling Kranti is an object and why I'm telling human and male and female are classes. Remember, class is a concept. If I am termed as a human, how can you immediately say human has born? Why didn't anybody say a dog has born when I'm born there? Because they see the appearance of me. I have 2 legs, 2 hands. We can never say that an animal has a hand, right? Even for monkey, they are not considered as hands because it still walks on those things low. We generally say that front 2 legs are actually hands, but still if you say that the animals, the other animals like dogs, pigs or monkeys or elephant, you say they are having 4 legs. So 2 legs is generally our part, right? We have straightened our vertebra so that we only use 2 things, 2 organs to walk. So they are called 2 legs. We have 2 hands. Based on my tongue, I can talk. So based on my appearance and my functionalities like talking, running, analyzing. So these are all the functionality that I'm having. So people have said a human has born. So it's a concept. So any real existence that is having a data and the methods satisfying the concept or the principle of something, then this is called object. I hope you are understanding. Why I'm called an object? Because I am satisfying a concept called human. So I am termed as an object of human. Remember, human doesn't exist in this world. Human is a concept. It's like a blueprint of your Ferrari car. So if your Ferrari or Lamborghini car is being designed, remember that is actually a blueprint. The first blueprint will be developed on your chart. That's what you are drawing in the engineering drawing, right? Nothing has been really implemented there. You're just drawing it. It doesn't occupy a space actually. It occupies some part of your space that is the length of your chart. For example, if somebody asks you, please show the blueprint, you will open the chart and put it on a table, right? It's not the real car. It's a concept, and the concept is occupying some space, of course. So some memory is required for the concept, but it's not the real object. But when you produced a real object called Ferrari, a car, then that object is occupying some space on this earth. So that is called object. So you are defining the blueprint as a class, which is producing some concept, like, you know, the length of the car, what is the engine that should be kept, and what is the shape that is there, what is the size of the bonnet. So these are all the properties. This is also called data of your car. And what is the functionality? Moving forward, moving backward, moving at a certain speed, getting into neutral position, parking itself. These are some of the things that are really occurring as functions. Everything that follows the same functionality is termed as a Lamborghini class, right? So how this Lamborghini class comes from? It comes from a super class called car. Why it is termed as car? Because it is satisfying the minimum conditions of a car. So it is termed as a car. Why an object is termed as Lamborghini? Because it is satisfying the minimum functionalities of Lamborghini. So I can simply say it's a hierarchy from a class called car. Okay. There is something that comes from his Lamborghini. There is something that comes from his Ferrari. Of course, a rival for Ferrari, right? Because Lamborghini was invented by somebody who is actually trying to tell something about Ferrari, but the owner didn't listen about his modifications. So he has designed his own car called Lamborghini. But actually, Lamborghini is the designer of tractors. So a car he has designed is Lamborghini, and there is some other car called Ford. We have something like Ferrari, Ford, Tata. Everything is a car, right? Everything is a car. But if I term some car is there in a real world existence and it is satisfying something, then I should say it is belonging to the class called Lamborghini if it satisfies all the concepts, all the properties and the functions of Lamborghini car. That's what we are finding. So generally the object-oriented programming is suitable. So we also call it as paradigm because it's a principle, right? Directly you cannot call it as programming. We can say it is paradigm. Is suitable when you want to group state and behavior together in handy pockets of functionality. So I will tell you one example. I have something like, a small example for you, whether I have told you or not. Have I discussed this example with you, like the drink glasses, a party, a drink glass example? Have I discussed with you? Regarding object-oriented, why we need object-oriented programming. Have I discussed with you? Anybody remember this? So that I can skip and go forward.
No, sir.
Okay, right. So I have a very small example. Difference between procedural and object-oriented. Of course, in Python, until now, what you have done is something like procedural in your first year. Because Python is a mix of procedural, functional, and object-oriented programming. There is no compulsion that you need to use only object-oriented. Java really asks you to do object-oriented, only object-oriented, because from the start itself, you will create classes and the main functionality that is required in the classes, and you will do it. C++ still allows you to do it in procedural-oriented. It never asks you to compulsory do it in object-oriented programming. Python also does the same thing. It can allow you procedural programming. The additional thing is that it can also allow you to do in functional programming and then C++. Sorry, not C++, and then object-oriented programming. Right. Let me talk to you about why we need object-oriented programming. So I have invited 10 families to a small birthday party one day. So what I have done is I have created big glasses of cool drinks, maybe some Pepsi or orange or something. I have kept these 10 glasses. Each glass is for the whole family. Each glass is for the whole family. Remember, each family consists of 4 people. And there are 10 families. So I think around there are 40 people in my party. So I'm telling something like they are all standing around a table. And on the table, there are 10 glasses of cool drinks. Carefully listen what I'm saying. There are 10 glasses of cool drinks and all the 10 families are standing around them. And I told them clearly, until unless I said, don't drink. Okay, until unless I said, you have to drink the cool drink, don't drink and empty the glass. But after a small speech, I could find that one glass of drink has been emptied. How can I catch the culprit now? Can anybody tell me? Did you understand the story, what I am telling? Imagine like that. You have a big round table on which I have placed 10 family glasses, family drink glasses, like your family ice cream something, right? Family drink glasses, which are very big, which can be shared by the whole family of 4 members and they can empty the glass. Now you imagine that there are 40 people, 4 people belonging to one family, right? We don't know who have emptied it. And some glass has emptied already. When I asked everybody, nobody is saying I have emptied. They're just standing quiet and listening to me what I'm asking. That's all. Nobody's replying. So how can I catch the culprit now? Can I catch the culprit here? Any answer from your side? First of all, did you understand the question? Can you say yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So come up with your answer. If you don't have an answer, come up with an idea where I can easily catch a person who has emptied it. Person or a family who has emptied the entire glass.
Sir, someone to whom the class is closest to?
Maybe we cannot say like that because somebody can stretch their hand and bend himself up and take the glass and just drink it and put it there. But because by the time everybody is focusing on you giving the speech, so nobody has seen that person. So we cannot say the person who is near to the glass also. So I think in this scenario, we can never find a culprit. Okay, because they're all quiet. They're never saying that I have emptied the glass, I have drank this one or so and so. So any alternative from your side so that the people should not, people can be caught immediately that these people has emptied it.
Sir, we can notice their behavior, no, sir? When we
No. That's, they are very quiet. That's also constrained. They are sitting, so they are looking like statues. No emotions, no feelings. They're just looking at you.
There any drink stain on them?
Nothing is there. Everything is quiet. No clue is left.
Sir, then we cannot find them, sir.
Yeah, we cannot find them. So one thing you can do is the next time you call them to the same type of party, the way you arrange the table and the glasses should be different so that you can immediately catch them. How do you arrange them? Any idea? I already told you that there are 10 families, 10 family glasses, family cool drink glasses. So how do you arrange them so that innocent will not be caught? Only the culprit can easily be caught. Somebody has given me a message. Yes, that's good. Monisha has said that 10 tables, Each glass, one table. That's correct. Exactly. So what I will do is I will keep 10 tables, and each table I will give a glass and allocate differently. So the whole 4 members will stand around this table. Exactly. So this is the way I arrange it. Okay. So what happens now is that if anybody is trying to drink or empty the glass, I can easily know that the glass has been emptied by this family because the glass is used by them all. Right? Did you understand what I'm saying? Monisha has given me the correct answer. Understood? Yes or no? This is the way I can arrange to catch to prevent him to drink, or at least if he drinks, I can catch them immediately. Right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right. So this is called object-oriented programming. So imagine this glass is a data, okay, in which you have filled with some values. Yeah, just a second. Yeah. So imagine that a glass of cool drink is considered as a variable, and the variable can hold data. So consider this drink as a data. If you are emptying the drink, that means you are modifying the data. For example, if A is equal to 6, and somebody has changed the A to A is equal to 1. So we don't know who is changing it. The same example, if you have a glass, if you imagine this glass as A, and the drink in which is there in A is something like a value 6. So somebody has emptied it. So without 1, I will say 0. So emptied. So emptied the entire glass. That means it is considered, it is turned as 0. But your question mark is who has changed this data and how it has been changed. Now comes the concept of object-oriented programming. Remember, in procedural-oriented programming, there are a lot of functions which are independent. We don't know which function is changing which values. Imagine you have 20 million lines of code that you have written for an operating system in Windows 98. And you cannot imagine which function has changed which variable. You cannot even correct it. Simple example is you are writing a program in procedural oriented programming for a rocket. Values are very important, right? To follow the trajectory, the parabolic form, the path, the tracking are very important there. If some function has changed it by mistake, and you don't know which function has changed it and how to correct it, and in the meanwhile the entire rocket will miss because values have changed. You need to remember that a small inch of value can also differ. When you are firing a gun, you might say that I have just moved some 1 inch only, but that 1 inch can affect at the final destination in centimeters or meters itself, right? Because the distance you travel is different from what you are actually projecting. So the rocket has to be, smashed. Yesterday, the Chinese rocket lost the control, right? It's all because of the values difference. It has come out of its orbit and it's lost the entire communication with the Chinese center. And luckily, it fell down in the Indian Ocean. Otherwise, they have expected it to fall in the Turkey, some city in Turkey, I think. I don't know. Maybe Tajikistan or Turkey. I did not remember, but Turkestan or something. So values are very important. The data is very important. And the data that is being modified by some function is also very important. Remember that in a family, all the 4 people are functions. What they are doing is to drink that water, complete cool drink. All the 4 people are functions. They might be drinking in different way. Some people will directly put it in their mouth and they will just suck the entire cool drink. Some people will put it on their mouth and they just pour it into their mouth. So there are different ways of doing the same thing, but you are doing something like changing the data and its value. but we don't know who is changing. Once we have divided the data which is being modified by few functions, and these functions are kept like a family. Imagine it like a programming. All these classes are data. And now what I am doing, I am telling that, okay, function 1, function 2, you both want this data, right? So what you need to do is, you along with the data A will be in one package, and this is called a class. So class is a concept. So what we are doing is, we are keeping the functions that are acting on a common data into one concept or a package that is called a class. So we are preparing our own data structure actually. So when we created an object, the object will have access to these functions, and the object will have a memory for this data. That's what in the real time that happens in the programming. So I hope you understand why we are talking about. So the party example is a difference between the procedural and object-oriented programming. So now we can clearly identify which data is being modified by what functions, because we have kept them in one package. For example, there are functions like calculating the area of circle. This is one function. There are different functions for doing some actions on a circle, right? What is the data that area of circle will generally use? It is nothing but R, the radius. So area of a circle is a functionality which is part of something which is calculating the area of circle using the radius of a circle. So we say in all those things I'm telling circle, 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 right? So circle is a package which contains all the functions that act on it and all the data that needs to be modified by these functions, and they're kept as a package called circle. And this package I tell them as class. So a class circle containing its data like radius or diameter or pi value, and using this something is being done by some functions. I identify that the radius is modified by this particular function because it is very clear that we are keeping them as single package, like your family with one glass. So now you can clearly identify which glass is emptied by which family, right? Or which function also can be easily identified. If you imagine the four people are four functions, and the glass of cool drink is your data and the cool drink itself is a value. If you have emptied it, it can be clearly said that that family has changed that value. There is no confusion here. We can easily find the culprit also. So this is the advantage of object-oriented programming. Did you understand what exactly I have told you? Yes or no? That's all. Any doubt in this?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right.
Sir,
Right.
one small doubt.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, in that human male and female example, can male and female be considered as objects of the superclass?
No. Male and female are not objects. I cannot say you male. Every time I cannot call you male, 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 right? You are an object of a male. You are referred by some name. What is your name?
Girisai.
Girisai. So, Giri, you are, Giri is a reference name referring to an object that is you. You are the real existence. So, Giri is referring to a real existence, and hence I will call Giri is an object here. It's your name. It's a reference variable referring to you. You are belonging to a class called male, and male is a subclass of a superclass called human in our case. So you cannot say male as an object. Male is still a concept. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Right. You can see here. So when a person sees a group of objects, he will term them as, they are all girls. Here, a woman is seeing these many people, and they are called boys. So you can simply say it's not boys because the class itself is a plural name. The boy which contains many objects. So this is an object, this is an object, this is an object, and this is an object, right? So when we are going on road, we can say there are a pack of dogs or a dog category. There might be many dogs that are coming. So there might be some girls that are coming. So you will say they are girls, they are boys, right? How you categorize them? Because they have their own functionality and they have their own way of walking, running styles. Their pitch, voice pitch is different. Their functionalities are different, and so on. So that's the reason why you have classified them as different classes. So objects are the basic runtime entities because they have the existence in their memory. They might be the representation of a person, place, bank account, or a table of data or something. So a program is executed. So when objects interacting by sending messages to one another. Let us take an example of this. I will also code and show it to you. In our class, forget about human. Which object I am belonging to? Can anybody tell me? Sorry, which class I am belonging to as an object? In our class education system environment, who am I? What you call me?
Teacher.
Teacher or an instructor. So Kranti is an object of a class called teacher. And you people, you all?
Students.
Students. So you all belong to an object called students. That's correct. So now listen to me. What is the interaction between us? Can anybody tell me one interaction between us?
Communication.
Communication. That's what? Some sorts of communication. Can anybody list out what are the different communications that we have between each other? So I am an object and you are an object. So take one-to-one. Maybe I and Giri are interacting. So what are the things that I might interact with Giri?
The concepts, methods.
Not like that. General interaction. Can you tell me how I generally interact with you? Please tell me. Here itself, I have given you the answer. One answer.
During the class, like contacting.
No. Let me tell you an example. Now, just now I have asked you something. What did I ask you? Can you tell me what did I ask you? Just now what I have asked you.
How do we generally talk?
Yeah. I am telling something like, please tell me the answer for my question, right? This is one interaction, right? I am asking you, please tell me the answer for my question. I have asked you a question and I am asking you to please tell me the answer. And if I am what I'm telling, yes. And in other way, I will also tell you, please write the exam for this reply or please write the test for this concept. So what are the verbs that you found on all these three statements? This is how I interact with you, right? In any case, if I am talking to you personally also, hey man, how is your mother? Can you tell me? I'm asking you. I will also ask how many of you have gone to a tour this time? Can you specify me? What are the verbs that you found here? Can you tell me in all these interactions?
Questioning.
I'm the first list of interaction I will tell you again. So let's identify. Students, I'm asking a question to you. Please open your mouth and tell to me what are the verbs that you have found here.
Asking.
Okay, asking. So leave asking. So I will tell you. I am telling like this. Students, tell me the answer for this question. Open your mouth. So what are the verbs that you have found?
Telling is a verb, sir.
Yes, telling. Next, what is the verb that you have found? Open your mouth. Okay, open your mouth. Now the next list, the next coming action that I will say. Students, listen to what I am saying.
Listen, sir.
Listen, that's all. Listen. So remove saying there. Because I am asking you to do something, right? I'm asking you to do something. That's the only verb I need to write the notes on what I am dictating.
Write and dictating.
Dictating is mine. Dictating is mine. What I am commanding you. Write the notes.
Yes.
Write the notes. In all these things, tell me, open your mouth, listen to the lesson, write the notes. Are all the functions done by you? Yes or no? Do you agree? As an object of a student, these are all the functions that are done by you. So that means I am an object of a class called teacher. I am interacting with an object called object of a student using these functions. Again, I am repeating. As an object of a teacher, I am interacting with an object of a student using these functions. So where these functions will exist? In the class of teacher or student?
Student, sir.
Yes, it is student. So teacher is interacting with student with the functions that the student can do. And in between, you will pass the messages. What are the messages that you are passing? So the message is something like the content of the notes. If I am telling students write this title, object-oriented programming. So what is the verb here and what is the message here? Can anybody tell me?
Write is the verb, to note it is the thing.
Write is a verb, and what is the message that you are passing here? I told you, students write a title, object-oriented programming. So what is the verb and what is the message that you are passing?
The verb is right, and the message is title of object-oriented programming.
Yes, that's correct. So the title object-oriented programming is actually sent by the teacher by calling the student. Okay, now I will show you a demo program, and the same example we will write it in classes in object-oriented programming. Okay, now let's go back. Open Python tutor. Okay, let's see. So I have a class called teacher and student, right? So class teacher. For now, I will write pass. Class student. Okay, class teacher and class student. This also I will write pass. So there are two people already. Now I will do something. Kranti is newly recruited as a teacher. So I will create Kranti is equal to teacher. Now what does this mean? Newly recruited. Okay. So that means an object has been created. So I have newly joined Geetam. So what the people will do, for example, I have joined Geetam and I am interacting with assistant principal. What is the first thing assistant principal will give me? What is the thing he will tell to me? Because I am a teacher, can anybody imagine that?
To take about.
So he will generally tell to me that you take the class or instruct the students, right? So instruct. So instruct is a function from my side. Assistant principal is invoking me by telling that instruct to the section B. What we say, it is B or something. B only, right? B26. So now tell me, what is the function and what is the message that assistant principal is passing here?
Sir, function is instruct.
Yeah, function is instruction. What is the message?
Do whatever.
To tell the students of B26.
B26. That's correct. So B26. That's correct. Now let us see that. So for now, I am not using B26. For your understanding, I have told you what I will do is Kranti dot instruct. Okay, Kranti dot instruct, because this is Kranti's work. Imagine that this is a global frame, right? This is a global frame, and this is Geetam. That's what I'm thinking. It's Geetam. That's all. Now, what Geetam has done, it has recruited me as a new teacher, and it has told me that Kranti, please instruct. This is what happening. So where do I define this function called instruct? In teacher or student? In teacher, right? That's correct. Because instruction is part of your teacher's work, because instruction is mine. So it should be defined here. And so what I will do is definition instruct. And remember, this is very important that first you need to define constructor. When I come to constructor, I will tell you why I am using constructor. But remember, if constructor is there, then only you will be invoked. Constructor acts like initialization. So when we are born, there is some initialization going on, right? So some initialization should be there so that we are born. So something is happening in the mother's embryo. That's what the initialization that is being done. So then only we are being born as an object. So if Kranti has to be recruited, he has to be given some space in the campus. Like a table should be there, everything should be there. He needs to be given some appointment letter, everything. That is all done by the function called initialization. Every class has a function called constructor. It's by default. Whether you write or not, it is by default. The constructor is the only function that initializes. Have you remembered the same name I have used for packages? Did anybody remember this?
Yes, sir.
When you ask some folder to be a package, I told you that some init.py should be created. The same thing happens when you want to create an object for a class. The object should only be initialized using the constructor in a class. The constructor is always named after init. So in classes, it is very important. Like your human birth, some initialization is done for your birth, right? In the mother's embryo. The same thing happens here. In a class, some initialization function should be there that gives every memory to an object. So ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ కి కంప్యూటర్ లో మెమరీ ఇవ్వాలి, అది క్రియేట్ చేయాలి అంటే this function is really invoked. That's what the teacher is. When you are calling this one, the function that is called constructor of your class called teacher will be invoked first. Now I need to define your instructor. Def instruct. So self, I will tell you what is self later on. So let me first do some pass here. I'm not instructing anything, right? So now there is a class called student. Now coming to the student, what are the things that you do? So I think the class student should also have this initialization, right? So it is also having self. Self in the sense indicating it is mine. So for example, if it is your book, what you will say, it is my book. If it is somebody's book, you will say it is Rajesh book or Giri book, something, right? The self is used for that. I will tell you when the self really comes while working. So here also I will give pass. For student also I have initialization things. So can you tell me what are the functions that you can do?
Learning.
Yes, learning. Next, writing. So I will say write, notes, listen, Okay, these are some of the functions that I had. So I will just define it. So define write notes I will use. Write notes. So every function, as I told you in the class, should be having a self. Now I will receive content, right? So naturally, if you want to write notes, how you write the notes? If I say, okay, all the students write now, what you will do immediately? Tell me. What is the first thing that you will do? If I told you, okay, students, write now, and I stopped there. I am not saying anything. What you will do?
Search for the content.
Yes, search for the content. You search for the content by looking at my face. You will put your pen on the paper and look at my face. What is this stupid fellow asking us to write the notes and never telling any content? So along with calling the function, for few functions, I need to also send a message. The message is nothing but the content I am sending. So whatever you listen to that content, whatever you receive, that you will write as a notes, right? So writing notes needs to receive a content from the other side, which is calling the write notes function, because write notes is yours. So you are saying, right? Writing the notes, right? This is fine. That's enough. So you are writing the notes. That's what you are printing it. Next, listen. Listen to lesson. So I will write this lesson as again some content. So I will write here, writing the notes content. So content, whatever content that you do. So I'm writing like this, you will say. So I will write print listening to the content. So whatever content you are receiving, you are saying, yes, sir, I am listening to that. And whatever content you are receiving, if I say write notes, you are saying, yes, sir, I am writing this content. Okay, that's what. So I will say writing this content. That's what you are doing. So you're writing and telling to me, yes, sir, I am writing. That's what I am doing as a print, because I cannot show you now writing something. Okay, right. Now, what should I do in the instruct? What is my thing in the instruct? So somebody asked me to instruct you. So what I am instructing you? How do I instruct?
By giving commands.
Yeah, commands, of course. But what are the commands that are available to you? As a teacher, I need to interact with an object of a class called student. So what are the commands that are there for the student to perform? So I'm not a military man to say run around the campus, right? It's also a command. But what are the commands that I can use?
Write notes and listen to the lesson.
Write notes and listen to the lesson. If I ask you to just go and scold your mother, you will slap me. Or it's none of your duty, it's our family's duty, right? So, but you cannot slap me when I ask you to write notes and listen to the lesson. So these are the only available functions that I had with me. So I'm just calling write notes and listen to the lesson, that's all. So nothing else is there. So now my thing is that, how can I call you?
Inheritance.
No, inheritance is not a concept here. So the teacher has to interact with student.
You call the functions write notes and listen to the lesson.
Yes, first of all, you join in Geetham as a student. So I will use Giri's name. Giri is equal to, so you are recruited as student in the new join. You are a new join in the campus. Okay. Now what happens is, after one second. After I create you, I'm a teacher, I am a new recruitee, and you as a student is a new joinee. So what you will do, the assistant principal will come and ask me, Kranti, instruct Giri. Kranti, instruct Giri. So what I will receive, Giri as a content here. So I will say student called Giri. So I am receiving Giri as a student. Now what I will do, my dear student Giri, of course the student I received, right? So I will say student dot write notes of object oriented programming. See how natural the interaction is, like our real world. And now naturally this will be called, and you will produce this as the final output. Did you understand what I am doing here? Kranti has been newly recruited. Giri has also been newly recruited, but Kranti is a new joinee as a teacher in the campus, but Giri as a new join in the as a student in the campus. Now assistant principal or Geetam has called me, Kranti, please instruct Giri. Because Giri is a student, please instruct. So I will receive the student as a content to myself. So they are passing the message with the reference variable name Giri, because Giri is a student. So I don't call him Giri. So I will say, okay, student, you are my student, which I have received. Please write the notes object-oriented programming. Now what Giri will do, Giri has the function, right? So he is a student. So this function is accessible to Giri. So this Giri will invoke and produce this as an output. Any doubt in this?
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So did you understand the example, what I am telling to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we will try to execute this one. It used to take a lot of time for executing C++, not for Python, but why it is taking like that? See, it is still there. It came here. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. You see, and you can see the teacher class has been created as a blueprint, like as if I said the chart, right? For your Ferrari car, the chart. So it occupies some memory, but it's only the conceptual memory. That's all. It's not a real existing memory. Next, student is also created with what are the functions that are there. You can see that these are all functions. If there is any data, the data is also termed as data there. That also we will look into. For now, we are only using functions. Now you see here, Kranti, in the line number 27, Kranti is being initialized. You see clearly. The red mark is showing the line number 27. Kranti will be the new recruit as a teacher. So exactly observe where exactly it is going to. The next statement. See, it is coming to the line 3. What is that line 3? It is initialization. So when an object is being created for a class, the first function that needs to be initialized is a constructor. Okay. So that is the constructor name is init. Init means initialization of your object. What is the next one? So after creating, Kranti has been created. You see, Kranti is a reference variable referring to the red arrow mark. You follow this. An instance of a teacher. It is saying that Kranti is an instance of a teacher. So actually an instance is created in the memory of objects. Okay. But Kranti is a name reference variable referring to that memory, which is the instance of a teacher. Next one. Giri. Now, see, it came to the line number 13 because Giri is student. Giri is also initialized now. So Giri is also created. You can see in the global frames. Giri is a name which is referring to an object of a student. You see in the memory. Now, okay, fine. Everything is good. Now we are at line number 30. It is asking me Kranti's instruct. So assistant principal or the Geetam is asking me, Kranti, please instruct Giri. So instruct is my function and Giri is passed to me so that I can recognize Giri as my student. Now it comes to line number 6. See, the instruct has been called. Now if we received student as Giri. Now the student dot write notes. Here my student is nothing but Giri, right? So Giri will actually see, now it has come to line number 18. So Giri's write notes is now invoked, right? So as you can see here, the write notes belonging to the student instance Giri. Of course, you see the red arrow Giri is pointing to the student instance and the write notes function is also pointing to the student instance. So indirectly now Giri is writing the notes for me, whatever I have instructed. Yeah, you can see in the print statement, writing this object-oriented programming. Did you understand now? So the content which I have passed to Giri is now written by Giri. So this is what I am telling about. In object-oriented programming, objects interact with each other by passing on the messages and calling their functions. Did this example match my statement which I have given? Can you tell me yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Because Kranti and Giri are both objects. Kranti is interacting with the Giri by using his function which he can do and passing on a message by calling the function. So while calling the function, I can also pass the message. And Geetam is interacting with me with my function instruct and passing on a message. The message is nothing but the student's name. Okay. So telling that like your B26 or Giri or Sai or something, somebody is actually passed on to me and said that instruct this fellow. That's all. So they cannot say each and every name. They simply said B26. But if there are 1 or 2 students, what they will do? Okay, Kranti, instruct Giri, instruct Sai or something. That's all. Did you understand? So remember, the real world interaction is always for calling the functions and passing the messages. Haven't you ever observed it? So somebody will say, hey, do you love me? See, this is a function. This is a function you are calling for the other person. You will say, yeah, I am studying today very good. And how are you studying? So studying is, so you are interacting with the other person by using his functions. Observe, a lot of interactions from our side is actually questioning or calling the other person's function by passing on the some message. So observe the real world interactions when we talk to each other. So see how many times I am asking you to do something. You see, observe the interactions, analyze what you are doing in your daily interactions. See, these are all what I am talking to you by invoking your functions. I don't know whether you have observed this or not. The same thing is applied in the object-oriented programming also. You and me are objects. We are interacting with each other. Kushala Prasanlo antam manam. In Telugu, we say that well-wishing, things like Bhavnara. You will say, are you good today? I hope you are good. What is this good? And I hope you are good, everything, right? You are doing good, something. Every interaction is actually a communication between 2 objects by calling their functions. If I'm interacting with Giri, I'm interacting with Giri only by using his functions and by passing the messages to him. And Giri will interact to me, sir, please clarify our doubt. Sir, please extend the time, take an extra class tomorrow. These are all the interactions that you and me are having, right? And taking an extra class, extending the time, conducting the exam, these are all my actions. You are interacting with me using my functions. I am interacting with you using your functions, what you can do. This is what the object-oriented programming. Objects will do some functionalities, modify some data. You take your notes as a variable. You write something in that. That means you are modifying your notes, right? Initially, the notes is plain white notes. You're not writing anything in that. When I ask you to do something, your functionality is to write the notes, and you are writing a notes in a notes, which is a white color note, and you are writing something. So that means you are modifying the notes. So here the notes is a data. Sorry, data in the sense the notes is a variable, and what you are writing, the content is a data. That sometimes you strike off, you rub it, you modify it, everything you do, right? But whatever you do, this all contains in a function called writing notes. Whether rubbing and rewriting or striking and rewriting, everything comes under a function called writing notes. And notes is a variable in which you are storing the data that you are writing. So this is a real world example of what you are trying to do in your programming. Okay, I hope you understand this.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah, ask me.
Sir, in the class student, you mentioned content, right, sir? But in the class teacher, you did not mention that content is there. Like instead of object-oriented programming, why can't you mention content over there?
You're saying content here?
Yes, sir.
So if I say content, something I have to pass as a content, right?
Yes,
so if that content is a value of, the variable.
And then we need to separately user input string we need to add in place of content. Is that okay if we do that?
Yes, you can. You can take the input like whatever content. So this is where I have directly written, right? So you can also pass the content, comma. You can say the content something so that somebody will say teach chemistry something. So that I receive from Geetam Chemistry, and I will put chemistry heading something here, right? Did you understand? You can take input. You can take input. This is where I have directly written a string. But you can take an input and pass it as a string so that it will be received as a content. So every time it will be dynamic.
Yes, sir. Because I thought that content is mentioned in the student class, but it is not mentioned in the teacher class. That's why I got a bit confused.
Yeah, that's all your wish. There is no need to mention content also, because the assistant principal never say you tell this one, that one, right? He only tells me instruct your student. So subject is allocated to me. It's my own thing that what content I deliver. So I should not pass the content here in the instructor.
Yes,
Did you understand? So
yes,
it doesn't give any meaning to me. So based on the perspective and the meaning, then only we will give what message I need to pass. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Sir.
Now coming back to our task. Now this slide is what you have understood, right? So objects interact by sending messages to one another. The meaning of this is what I have explained to you in your coding example. Coming to the classes which I have told you. Now we will have a, so we already had an example. Now you are introduced to classes and creating the objects by now. So let us take few things before we come to encapsulation, polymorphism, and inheritance. Let me write a small program so that you will just try to do some program as an exercise now. Okay. So I will write a class called math. Okay, so we are coming to a mathematical world where I will add and subtract two numbers. So let us see what and how I can do it. Can anybody tell me based on this, how can I define class? Can you dictate me? I want a class called
class math.
Yes, class math. Okay, maths is possible. Yeah. What is the next thing I can do? What is the default thing I need to have?
Init function.
Init function, because whatever object that you need to do as a task in the mathematics, it should be initialized first. So in that you need to contain self. pass. Nothing is there at present. Or you can write any print statement also. You can write like this: print I am invoked. So instead of I, let me just take it like this. Now you will understand what exactly is self. Maybe I will make self is invoked. Oh, I did not write it like, okay. Self is invoked. Let us take it like this. Okay. So I want add and subtract functions. Can you dictate what I need to do? Yes, definition. Add of self, definitely.
A comma B.
A comma B. Okay, now we go much more professional. We say num1 comma num2 that we receive. Next thing, you need return whenever this function is called, you need to return it. So return num1 plus num2. Yes. Now I need to subtract.
Define subtract.
Definition subtract.
Self num1.
Self num1 comma num2. Return num1 minus num2. Okay, that's finished. Now calling the object now. So my first task is to add, and the second task is to subtract. So I need two objects for two tasks. Can you tell me now?
So create an object first.
Yeah, maybe task 1. So how do you create an object? Task 1 that belongs to class called maths is equal to maths. Okay, right. I need another task. Task 2 is equal to maths. There are two objects now created for the same class. Now I'm asking the task 1 to add two numbers 2, 3. You can also take input and give it to them as input. User defined. But now I'm directly giving the numbers. I'm asking the task 2 to subtract two numbers 3, 2. Did you understand?
Yes.
Here,
Yes.
What is the message I am passing function?
Add and subtract are the functions.
The message is two numbers 2, 3. I'm sending 2, 3. I'm asking you asking the add function to do something. So I'm asking task 1 to add these two numbers. So add is the functionality of task 1, and the two numbers 2 and 3 which I am passing are the messages. So I'm giving some message in which I am giving two numbers, and the two numbers are taken by task 1 and they are being added, because I mentioned like this, the same thing like instruct and all in the previous example, right? So task 1, please add these two numbers. Task 2, please subtract these two numbers. So you might ask me, can't this task 1 subtract, sir? Yes, task 1 has an ability to subtract also, but I don't want to mix all these objects. So I have created one object to only add. I have created another object to only subtract. But if you ask me, sir, can this be possible? Like 3, 2. Yes, this is possible. But I don't want to use task 1 for all functionality. So I just divided it. So for example, I can say, Ravi, please listen to what I am saying. And Giri, please write the notes. So Ravi only listens. He can write the notes, but he is not writing the notes. He only listens. And Giri also listens, but his thing is to just take what I am telling and writing on the notes. So I am dividing it. That's all. So one to write the notes and one to listen it. The same thing happens here. The task 1 is to add. The task 2 is to subtract. If you ask me, sir, can't the task 1 subtract? Yes, it can. But I'm not using task 1 to do subtraction. I'm using task 2 to use subtraction. So parallelly, two things are going on. Instead, but if you say task 1 dot subtract, the difference here is that after this task is performed, then only this task will be performed. So instead of this, if I create another object, this is very useful in multi-threading. So you have parallel tasking, right? For example, you are playing a game. There are a lot of bots that are there, right? There are a lot of enemy soldiers that are firing at you. So each enemy soldier is an object there. he is a single thread. I am not using single enemy soldier to do everything to me. So one is firing rockets at me, one is firing bullets at me, one is firing a flamethrower, and one is throwing a grenade at me. So there are different tasks for different soldiers, right? The same thing I am using. I am creating different objects for the same math class, using each object for different function. Now let us check what will happen. Oh, I hope this should work as early as possible. I would have executed in VS Code, but still I want to show you the memory and also I'm doing this. I think many people are using, I think, at a time. So the server is very busy. Oh, okay. Right. So the class maths will be created with function, subtract, and all. These are functions. Now task one will be created for maths instance. You can see the task one has been created. And you know, have you seen this? The object reference has been given, you see here. So now tell me what exactly is self. Now coming back again. Now I'm printing self is invoked, right? Now coming back. So the 15th line telling that task one is equal to maths. The first thing it will do is it will go to the constructor init. Self is there, right? And I'm printing self is invoked. See what it will print onto the screen. The 4th line. Yeah, coming to the screen, let us see. I'm expanding it. So this is what I have printed. So what is this indicating?
The object.
Yes. So task one object. So task one is an object belonging to a class called maths, and it is stored at a specific location with reference ID, this one. So maybe you can take it as an address which is represented as hexadecimal. Okay, because you are having X there, it is an hexadecimal. So it is an address space. For example, you have your own address, right? Your home address, the same thing that we have discussed from the last semester onwards. Your memory has some address. So it is telling that task one is an object belonging to the class called maths, and it is located in this particular one is invoked. Okay, now after this, now coming to the task two again. So now task two is also an object. That's what it is saying. It is invoked. See the location difference. This is F0. This is 80. See the location difference. So there are two objects created at various locations already. The self always indicate that whatever you are calling, it is the self. Now, for example, I'm coming to 18th line. You see, I'm saying task one dot add of 2, 3. How many parameters are there in add here? When you see in line 6, can you tell me?
3 parameters.
3 parameters are there, but I am sending 2 parameters. What could be the third parameter self here?
The object itself.
Object itself. Even though I am not sending as a third parameter when I'm calling in the 18th line, the task one itself as a self. 2 is num1 and 3 is num2. So even though we don't give it between the parameters, the task one is by default sent to the self, and the next parameter is filled with num1, and the third parameter is filled with num2. That you need to understand. So we have satisfied all the 3 parameters: task 1 for self, 2 for num1, and 3 for num2, and so. Now naturally it will return the value. Of course, the return value is 5. Can you see it clearly? We did not print the return value. If we print it, then it will be printed onto the screen. Otherwise, it will just return it. That's all. It will come back. Task 2 subtraction. Again, it will return. So you see the return value is -1. So that's all. The end of the program. So if you need to do it, if you need to print it, you just put it in the print here. Okay, just put it in the print. That's all. So this is the end of the program that we have kept. So the return value will be printed here. Now, I have kept your first task, class exercise. Let us see. Internet connection is there. I am discussing with you, and why it is saying resolving host, I don't know. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just open your learn.edu once. Learn.gitam.edu. Try to open that. I don't know why it is not working here. Is it opening to you all? Learn.gitam.edu.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, but it
Yes,
is not
sir.
opening to me. I don't know. Can anybody share the screen once? I want to show you the test case sample. How I have done it. I want to just look into the program once. What I have given to you.
So you have disabled it.
I will make it. I'm unable to open my thing. That's the reason I'm asking you. Please show it to me once. Yeah.
So is it visible?
Yeah. Open that class exercise 175. That day I have created for you. So yeah, come down. Come down. The same thing I have asked you. The test case will be slightly different here. So do not worry about the test cases. Write the program as how I have written. Like, so what I have asked you, write a maths class in which you add a function like power and factorial. You know how to write power and factorial, right? Do not use predefined math.pow. You design your own logic for calculating the power and factorial using for loops. You need to write the content in your program and return the value. Create and invoke an object for accessing the functions of the math class. Okay. So input will be, don't consider those messages. The input will be something like, it will give 2, 3, and 4 directly. So it will give something like 2, next 3, next line of 4. Okay. So based on that 2, 3, and 4, the output will look like this. See the output? There you need to print the messages clearly. So you need to print something like the answer for 2 to the power of 3 is 8. The answer for the factorial of 4 is 24. So you need to strictly use classes, not directly functions. Okay. Follow all the instructions. I'm clearly saying that input can be given without any messages. Don't give any input messages. It should take something like a plain thing. So you will say a is equal to int of input. Please try to convert them into integer. Don't forget it. Input will always take a string. Convert it into integer. So you need to say A is equal to int of input, B is equal to int of input, C is equal to int of input. So these are the only three statements that you will do. So the test case will give it like 2, 3, and 4. That's all for all the three inputs. While printing the output, you need to print the message exactly as same. Just a minute. If it is opening to me, I will just check it out whether it exactly opens to me, so that I want to show the exact test cases to you. And remember, 2 evaluations are free. I have set it for 2 evaluations. If you want me, I will set it for 3 evaluations. First run it. Don't try to evaluate it immediately. I don't know whether I have instructed you or not, but I want to show you something if it works for me. Just a second. I'll just try it again.
Sir, should I stop sharing?
Have you tried to execute?
No, sir.
Yeah, actually, I think Mahak is showing, I think, right now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mahak, can you go up a little bit, scroll up? Yeah, you go to the submission view. Okay, you have description. Why that is there here? Anybody is getting an editor there? Go to the description again.
Sir, the due date is over, sir.
Okay. I need to set the due date. I thought in the meanwhile you can do it, but I don't know why it is not working for me. This stupid thing. It is opening for you. Why it is not opening for me? I don't know. Okay, right. Anyway, the due date, I will set it. Please write somewhere else in the meanwhile and keep the program ready. I will tell you how to put the program there and evaluate it. Okay. And I will also show you the test cases. What is the expected outcome? Most probably the expected outcome will be like this. And I will, if there are any mistakes in the test cases, I will correct in the meanwhile if I can connect it. So you write the program exactly. You just note down how you can write it. The output should be like this. The answer for 2 to the power 3. So I don't say that 2 and 3 are fixed here. You need to give the variables here. Sometimes I will give 3, 4, 5, 6. So it should say dynamically. The answer for 5 to the power of 6 is so and so answer. That should be clearly given there. So the print statement should be like this, including the output. Then only it will match and evaluate to you correctly. Otherwise, your marks will be cut. So just give input for taking 3 inputs, print the output with the message like this, with the output that you are seeing in that expected output. So prepare your program for that. Do not copy because similarity is very bad. I will show you how the similarities will be shown to you. Even if you change the variables, it is taking it as a similar program. So unless I see your program, I will not finalize the marks, even though it is auto-graded. So everything will be auto-graded for you. I will increase the free evaluations for 3 so that you can check out for 3 times. If you go for the 4th time, 1 mark will be cut. If you go for the 5th time, 2 marks will be cut. So remember that. So in the meanwhile, I will check everything and set it to you. So I will extend the time and date so that you can do it. So I think we can quit now. In the meanwhile, I will adjust everything and you write the program. When we start the next class, maybe at 1 o'clock, I think, then we will go through that, how to do and everything. After performing that, we will go for inheritance and then polymorphism. Okay, then bye bye for this class and meet you in the next class.